Okay, we are on 49b, 2. The Gemara just said that Sheikha is a Lashon. When the Torah talks about pouring the water on the Mizbeach, the Gemara says it's the language of Sheikha indicates the idea of satiation, um, drunkenness. What does that mean? That means that you should go ahead and um, and make sure that that's why the Gemara said you're supposed to go ahead and um, they would stuff up. Rabbi Shloka says when they would pour the wine on the mizbeach every day, they would actually close the hole that was on top of the altar in order that the wine should collect there to show like it's full. It's a show of being full, and and that's like a sign of when you do something. Morning, Adam. You do something, you do it in such a full way. Look like we brought to the mizbeach. We did such with a full hand, so to speak, that you gave a lot of wine to the mizbeach. And Omer Papa says, Shma Mina. We see from here, Kisava inish chamra, when a person becomes satiated, and also it's more than just showing that you're giving a lot of wine. It's like that the receiver of the wine, that meaning, so to speak, Hashem, you gave to Hashem the wine, the gift to Hashem. So it's like Hashem is full from the wine. And that's the idea by plugging it up. So and the wine is still there on top. It's like Hashem is satiated. Hashem is being satiated from your wine. So therefore, the Gemara continues. Papa says, "Hisava inish." When a person becomes satiated with wine, what brings you the satiation? What makes you full? It's not if you sip the wine, if you could become full from having a lot of wine in your throat. By having a lot of wine at one time, migrone sava. When you take a large gulp, you put so what happens is that satiates you from the wine. It's not if you go ahead and you take small gulps of wine and they add up eventually. I drank a 16 ounces of wine, but if I drank it, over a period of time, it does not fill you up. It's not like food. Food, Rashi says, is that when you fill up your stomach, so even if you eat every minute, every 2 minutes, you eat and you stop a minute, you eat, stop a minute, but at the end of 30, 20 minutes, you ate a lot, you're full because the tank, they will call it the tank is full, even if you go ahead and you go to a gas station and you stop every minute, but then you keep on putting in gas. At the end of the day, your tank is full. But wine is different. Wine to feel full from the wine, to get that you become satiated from the wine. You like, I presume that means you had enough wine. So if you drink at interments, you stop and then you're open to drink more wine. You don't feel full yet from the wine when you drink it over a period of time. And just like, we see a Pesach night, we could have 4 cups of wine. Okay, it's over a long period of time. It doesn't have that effect. But if you would have 4 cups of wine, one right after the other, you would really that would really fill you up. Especially, so here it's emphasizing to having it a lot large gulps. That's what really fills you up. The Gemara continues. The Gemara continues. Amar Rava. So Rava says, Suba Rabbanan, the Lunafish Lechamra, if you have a Talmud Chacham, a Torah scholar, that doesn't have so much wine, as we know, wine is an expensive beverage. And let's say if he doesn't have so much wine, so what he should do is to get the most out of it is when he drinks the wine that he does have, take large gulps. He'll take a large gulp that will really fill you up. So the gemua gemue. He should go ahead and take a large gulp, and that will go ahead and satiate him. He'll get the best. He'll be satiated from it. Listen, he wants the wine. He wants to enjoy the wine. This is the best way, morning Aaron, that he should go ahead and do it. Rava, interesting. Rava at kosad de bechata agma gmuye. Rava, when he would drink the cup, a morning mark, when he would drink the cup of wine that was for bracha, maybe whether it was the coast, when you say birkat hamazon, sometimes if you have a zimun, they do it over a cup of wine, or the cup of wine for maybe kiddush or havdalah. That's also called the kosher bracha. And when you would go ahead and when he had the kosher bracha, he drank it in agmuye in large gulps. And the reason why he drank it in large gulps is because he wanted to beautify the mitzvah, to show his that's why I'm going to be satiated from the wine. I'm drinking wine in a manner that it's gonna that's really does the trick, that really fills me up. So therefore, he what do you say? I'm gonna get okay. Obviously, I presume it depends how much you drink, whether how drunk you get, but to get the buzz or the feel or the good feel that people get for the wine, to be full. I'm full from wine. Some people, you have a meal, I'm not full. You only have a meal and I'm not full. You didn't get the best of the meal. You don't want full. But if to get the satiation from the wine, he drank a large gulp. And Rashi says the reason why he did it was chibuv mitzvah. The reason why he went ahead and he drank the wine in such a fashion, he wasn't a glutton. It wasn't that he wanted to act in an inappropriate fashion. On the contrary, he wanted to show the chibuv mitzvah, the love of mitzvah. So he went ahead and he drank the wine in such a fashion where it's wow, you really, you enjoyed yourself for the purpose of what? For the mitzvah. So he drank the wine in a large gulp. We had also in the Gemara, not a little while ago, when it came, people would go with their lulav and their drog, wherever they would go, the Anshe Yerushalayim, the Men Yerushalayim, they would go out to the street, they would go through lulav, wherever they would take their lulav with, they would pray with. They actually pray, not just the lulav by Hallel and so on. They would actually pray with the lulav, holding lulav. They did everything with the lulav wherever they went, because it also was a show of expression of love of the mitzvah. Like the American Express card, don't leave home without it. So don't leave home without your lulav. They took their lulav with them on the holiday of Sukkot wherever they went, as an expression of such a love for the mitzvah. I don't want to disconnect from the lulav. So that's another thing in life. We're supposed to do things to show a love of a mitzvah, and that's when you run to shul, you want to show your enthusiasm. That's also maybe an idea of love, showing a love for the mitzvah. Okay, the Gemara continues. We're on 49b2, bottom of the first column. Darash Rava. We spoke about the pasuk that deals with the shitin, that deals with the hole in the ground that the water of the altar and on Sukkot would go down into, and the sachim, the wine. So now the Gemara continues on this pasuk. As you know, Shira Shirim is called a song of songs. And there it describes the relationship between the Jewish people and Hashem. The Jewish people yearning to have that closeness to Hashem again. It's written by Shlomo HaMelech, and it talks about the Jewish people when they're going to be in the exile, how they're going to want Hashem, and they're going to talk about how beautiful it was, the relationship that they once had, and God talks about the beauty of the Jewish people. So what does it mean? How beautiful are your steps, the steps that you take in your sandals, and you're the daughter of the noble. That's the literal translation of the pasuk. What's going on over here? Now, so what does the Gemara explain? There's many interpretations of the pasuk. So the Gemara says, "Ma yafa hamotem shel Yisrael." How beautiful are the steps of the Jewish people b'shah she'olin l'regel, when they go up l'regel. So Hashem, God is singing the praises of the Jewish people, and the word banalim, which refers to your sandals, like nalayim, also has the word aliyah, the word of going up. So Hashem is talking about how beautiful is the steps, the efforts that you take to going up to Yerushalayim. I want to tell you, I once went to Meron for Lag BaOmer. I set out at 12 o'clock at night. We didn't arrive till the morning, whatever the story was. And I felt like a real Aliyah L'Rega. You get off the bus and everybody walks up, everybody's going up. That was the feeling of Aliyah L'Regel. So people are going up, they're going up to Yerushalayim, everyone's traveling throughout the Eretz Israel. You live in Tel Aviv, you're coming to Jerusalem for 3 times a year. So Hashem recognizes how beautiful in every step that you take, all the effort that Jewish people, good morning, Nathan. Good morning, everybody. The steps that the people took to come to Eretz Yisrael. So how beautiful are those steps? Bat Nadiv, the Jewish people are referred to the daughter of the Nadiv. Now, a Nadiv is a noble person. What is this referring to? A philanthropist, a gracious person. So philanthropist, what makes a key to be a philanthropist is your heart. Your heart is moved. It's called, like the Torah says by the Mishkan. The Torah says, who gave to the appeal of the Mishkan? There was an appeal. There was one of the most biggest appeals to build the Mishkan, and the pasuk says, "Kol nidiv leiv." Someone whose heart was moved, gracious of heart. He's the one. She was the one. Men and women, they both participate in the appeal in different fashions, and the heart that was moved. So Avraham is called an Nadiv because his heart was moved to recognize his creator. He was gracious, that he was in a divleiv. That, your heart could be moved to answer to an appeal that Mark is making for something, some good cause, right? Or your heart could be moved to come to a Torah class, or to reckon. Nadav is it's usually we translate to donate, but I don't know if that's the right. It's to be give it's the moving of something, and to be moved, and here. So one thing is to be moved to give money. One thing you can be moved to recognize to be inspired. I think maybe a good translation is Nadiv Leiv. Your heart was inspired. You could be inspired to donate to an appeal. You could be inspired to recognize your creator. So Avraham was the Nadiv. He was the inspired one to recognize. He was the first to recognize Hashem on his own. So we are the children of Avraham. Bitol shel Avraham Avinu, and we are also inspired to go to. So therefore, it's the appropriate word to refer to. We are the children of the Nadiv, and we're emulating and we're following the ways of Avraham by also being inspired to go to Yerushalayim. Shenema Nadive Amim Ne'esafu. Am Elokei Avraham. The pasuk refers to. Some translate the pasuk in the future. What will happen is the nations of the world will become inspired. They're going to be gathered together. They're all going to come together. Nations are going to come. They're going to come to recognize Hashem, like it says, "V'haya Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz v'yomahu Hashem echad u'shmo echad." Everybody's going to know about Hashem, and so they're going to nidivei amim ne'esafu. They're going to gather where the nations are going to be inspired to go. El Am, to the nation, to come. Elokei Avraham. They're going to come to Israel. The Goyim, we're going to accept certain korbanot from them, certain offerings, and they're going to come to the nation of the Elokei Avraham, the nation of the God of Abraham. Now, why are we being so exclusive to call the Jewish nation Elokei Abraham? Why aren't we calling the nation Elokei Abraham, Elokei Yitzchak? Why are you saying just the God of Abraham? The Jewish people is the nation that's of the God of Abraham. The Jewish people is the nation of the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, the chosen nation of the God of Yaakov. That's what the Gemara's question is. Elokei Abraham, the Jewish nation is the Jewish nation that they're going to come to is the God of Abraham. V'lo Elokei Yitzchak v'Yaakov. They're not the God, the nation of the God of Yaakov and Yitzchak. Why just pick out Abraham out of to refer to the Jewish people as the nation that's the God of Abraham? So the Gemara says he was the first. We emphasize they're going to come. He was why Elokei Abraham shehaya tchila legevim. He was the first to recognize his creator. He was the first to be inspired, and the nations of the world are going to be inspired in the future. So therefore, it's appropriate. Right. The nations of Abraham could include the nations of the world because, let's say, the recognition, the person becomes a convert. They're emulating the ways of Abraham. But Abraham is called also Av Hamon Goyim. He's the leader of all the nations. So the nations of the world, right? But the Gemara is saying that, but still, that might not be enough. But why refer to him at this point in that, right?
All the nations of the world, shield and help save all the nations. One might think. But it should be
right. So we opened up, but again, right. So there's an answer to the Mark's question. It opens up, the Amidah opens up Elokei Abraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. And then we end with Magen Abraham. So why do we only say Hashem is the protection, the shield of Abraham? Hashem is the shield, the protection of Yitzchak and Yaakov. So one idea I once saw is because each one represents Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov Avram represents Chesed. Yitzchak represents Avodah, Gvura. Yaakov represents Torah. So there's an idea. The Gemara says that we're going to be redeemed with the merit of Chesed, the merit of Tzedakah. Jewish people were redeemed with that kindness when we treat each other with kindness. And I'm thinking out loud. It could be because what was the problem? How we get into this problem to begin with for the sinat chinam? When you hate someone, you're not kind to people. But if you're going to be kind to people, with the kindness is going to strengthen the love. When you're kind to someone, when the person's kind to their wife, kind to their friend, kind to their family, that's expressions of love. So perhaps that's why we end Magen Avraham, it's the protection, the shield of Avraham, to recognize that the Golut, what we need to remember, what we're going to get us out of this exile is going to be the Magen Avraham, the focus of what Avraham of Chesed. That's one idea. But like Hashem in the Chumash, Hashem says to Avraham, that was part of the bracha to Avraham. Hashem says to Avraham, I want to tell you, Lech lecha me'aretzecha, leave your land, and so on and so forth. But I want to tell you, you're going to be the one, when the Jewish people are going to pray, you're going to be the name that they're going to end their bracha with. So there was something unique about Avraham, and it could be he gets that center stage and that focus, that limelight, is because of his accomplishments of life and what he was going to do with his life. Remember, at the end of the day, he is the father. He is the father, what do you call it, the patriarch of as much as they're all patriarchs, but there's the patriarch's patriarch, right? The father's father. At the end of the day, good morning, the father's father is Avraham. So that's part of Hashem's reward and gift to Avraham, that he gets special mention. Okay. And those nations also are going to be inspired and they're going to come. Tana Debei Rav Anan. Rav Anan says regarding this pasuk in Shir Hashir, Chamuki Rechayech, talks about, so the simple meaning of the pasuk is talking about the luchot, how precious, how special the stones of the luchot were, and he expounds on this pasuk. Now, we're talking about the Torah that was made from um, special stones, and the pasuk refers to it as the handicraft of the craftsman, meaning Hashem. The luchot were made by God, and the Torah, and it refers to this in a fashion of Yerechayach. It refers to it as like a thigh. Lama nimshla divrei Torah ki yerech. It refers to the luchot in a fashion of a thigh, this part of the person's body, the hidden part of a person's body, the covered part of a person's body. Why does it refer to the Torah as describing the beautiful stones? It refers to in a fashion of a thigh. Ma yerech baseter. The thigh of a person is hidden. It's not exposed. Av divrei Torah. Torah also should be baseter. It should also be hidden. What does that mean? The modesty when it comes to Torah. You don't go ahead and go into Wall Street, and in the street, I'm going to give a Torah class in the street. You can have, they opened up a Beit Midrash by Pine Street, right? They opened up something over there. Heard a very nice Beit Midrash, maybe 56 Pine or something. Anyone heard about it? Right, 56 Pine. Adam is there all the time. It's unreal. The new thing they opened up, 56 Pine, with minyanim, with learning, kollel, classes, amazing, right, Adam? Great food also. You're making it. But special, amazing. It's a new thing they opened up. A lot of college students of mine, they were going there. Then they have like a satellite place on the west side also. They're making moves. Then someone's making moves over here, making things. A lot of young professionals, correct? They're going there. I don't think they discriminate about people not young, right? They don't discriminate, right? Yeah, I even know of a person who's retired that goes there to learn during the day. All ages, makes the move from Brooklyn, New York, to come down to that place at 56 Pine. Then he's retired. So, but then they're inside the building. They're not in the street. But to open up a class, to sit with a class in the street and teach Torah in the street, in the market, that is not modest. Torah has a certain dignity, a certain modesty. And that's what the pasuk is saying. Divrei Torah b'seiter. Divrei Torah should be done with a certain modesty. Modesty is not just for women. Women have to be modest. Men have to be modest also. Once I'm on the subject, I have to just say it. Sometimes people wear tight clothing, tight pants. That's a lack of modesty. I'm using my license to say that. And we have some people here in the room that are involved in clothing, so they have to encourage people to make sure that they wear modest clothing. What's that again? I mean, that's a separate issue that Nathan's bringing up. You're not supposed to teach Torah to the nations of the world. So, I presume an art scroll was deciding to translate the Svarim and to put it out, and it's available. Anybody, they had the question, obviously, how to deal with, because you can't teach Torah. I can't open up a class. We can open up a class in the Safa synagogue and teach the non-Jewish people Torah. You can't do that. You can't teach Torah. But if someone who works in the building comes into the room, we don't have to stop our class because they walk into the room. But you can't go ahead and with the intention of teaching Torah. Now, the question is, are there certain things that you could teach? Certain things you can't? There are different laws, exactly. But in general, we say today we're going to say in the davening, Mishpatim bal yudeum. Mishpatim bal yudeum. The laws are not being known. It's the Torah is for the Jewish people. It's our treasure. It's our gift that's given to the Jewish people. It's not supposed to be teaching Torah to the non-Jewish world. V'hainu the Amar Rabbi Elazar. And that's what Rabbi Elazar says. This is a very famous pasuk coming up. Right. In Korea, one of my students, I think he went to Korea, one of those places, and he showed me, and he texted me a picture of a Gemara, Steinsaltz Gemara, translated into that Korean language, because the non-Jewish world say the Jewish people are very successful. What's the key to the Jew? What's the key to the success? So they said that they're people of the book, people of the Talmud. It's what they've been doing for thousands of years. So they translated it into, it's a problem. They should not, that's not good. That's not good. It's not supposed to be translated for them to study. V'hainu da'amar Rabbi Elazar. That's what Rabbi Elazar said. We are by the bottom of 49b2. Higid lecha Adam. Higid lecha Adam. Hashem has told you, Adam, ma tov, what is good to do in life? U'ma Hashem dorish mincha. What does Hashem want from you? You know what Hashem wants from you? Ki'im asot mishpat. I want you to go ahead and do acts of justice. We're going to define what that means. Va'avat chesed. I want you to love kindness. The Chafetz Chaim wrote a book called what? Ahavat Chesed, based on this verse in Micha. It's a great book. It's written in Hebrew. It's translated into English. It's available. I get 10% on the deal. So I recommend everyone could learn about Chesed. All this, he talks about the midst of giving loans. He talks about the midst of Bika Cholim and Misamek Chatan Akala happy, and all different things regarding Chesed. And the pasuk says you should go ahead and act with modesty. Between who? With you. Go with modesty with God. With God, you got to go with modesty, meaning in religious actions, religious items, which would obviously in Torah, we'll see how the Gemara is going to translate. What is asot mishpat? Do acts of kindness. Zehu adin. There has to be law and order between how people deal with one another. You have a financial dispute. You have situations, this disagreement, or whose property is his property? Where does it? All the things that are undefined that were not clearly stated, and you have a lot of different questions between Adam and Chavero. That is between man and fellow man to judge properly, which we see today. The courts here in the United States. Jews have to go to Jewish courts, and the non-Jewish people have to set up non-Jewish courts. And we see the courts are not doing this. They're not having this proper mishpat. People could get away with crime. So that's it's a big violation of the 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach that the non-Jewish world is doing. But Hashem is telling us, we, the Jewish community, have to make sure. How are we between man and fellow man? How are we in our honest and our dealings between man and fellow man? Second thing is avat chesed. So again, I want to emphasize, it doesn't say do chesed. It doesn't say do kindness. You know what it says? It says to love kindness. It's a different story in life. When you love something, it's not too hard for you to do it if you love it. When you love something, you go the extra mile. That's what it says. It doesn't say do chesed. The key to doing chesed is to have a love of chesed. Avat chesed. Gemilut chasadim. And part of that, the commentary says that when you love people, you love chesed. The love of chesed is also connected. The person who loves people, he's the person who does so much chesed. What does it mean? You should go with modesty in front of God. So the Gemara says, "Zu." What is referred to? Is referred to Hosot Hameid v'Achnasat Kala L'Chuppah, and it's referring to Achnasat Kala L'Chuppah, someone getting married and someone being buried. Now, what does that mean? The Hosot Hameid L'Tvura is referring to the expenses for a funeral and the expenses for a wedding. So let's understand a little bit more about this idea. So the Gemara says, what is this? What is this? Mad, the Gemara explains. So, mad dvarim sher dargam la'asotam b'fahesia. Things that are done in public. People get married. Marriage is not done private. Marriage is something that everybody knows someone's getting married. Everybody knows someone is being buried. The person passed away. So yet the Torah says, Amr Torah hatsnei lechet. The Torah says you should hide your actions. If you're going to go ahead, you're going to help the kala. Everyone knows the kala needs to get married. Everyone knows that someone has to pay for the wedding. Happens to be, I'm involved now in raising money for a certain wedding, and that's something. Here we're learning the Gemara. They get it. The caterer needs the money by the 19th, I think, or something like that. One of these dates coming up. But we'll see. We're gonna some more money for the person. Achnasat kala. I have to ask my wife because she's working with the caterer. So here we have the Gemara talking about it. It's a girl that has no father involved in the picture. The boy's father passed away. They were pushing off the wedding because they don't have money for the wedding. My wife said, you got to get married. You can't just push off. They live in the country. The boy's Yemenite. It's not drive car service, something like that. Not all Yemenites drive car service, but I'm saying that Yemen happens to whatever that family. So there's nothing, so they're trying their best. They went to the school. So that's what my wife knows the girl.
Yeah.
Nefesh, yeah, she went to Nefesh for 3 years. I think she went to Nefesh high school. So the Gemara says these things, everybody knows. Someone has to pay the bill. The girl has to get married. Someone has to know the person has to be buried. So yet the Torah is saying when you're doing these things, because it says lechet, matzneya lechet, tov lechet mibeit avel lechet lebeit mishteh. It said it's better if you have a funeral to go to or a wedding to go to the funeral. Lechet, the word lechet is connected to funeral. Lechet is, good morning, Avram, is referring to a wedding. So here it said, what did it say? I mean, it's a pasuk. It's a pasuk from Shlomo Melech. So when it talks about a wedding and it talks about a funeral, it talks about lechet, and so that's what he says. Vatsnei lechet. Even when you're doing the lechet, even when you're helping someone for a marriage, you have to go ahead and do it. Don't tell everybody. Don't discreet. You gave the money for the kala. People have to know about it. It has to be collected. But then, then the person who comes forward and actually does it shouldn't publicize to everybody. Unless you need to tell people, we also need more help. That's what you got to do. But we shouldn't tell people, I do it. Exactly. So and same thing with the expenses for the funeral. So if that's the Torah says, you have to be modest, even in those areas, and be discreet. Dvorim shedargam lasot b'tzena. So things that are done in private, where people don't even know that the person needs money. I didn't even know the person was poor. Let's say there's a person, it's not a wedding that everybody knows there's an expense. There's someone, a friend of mine, he's going through financial difficulty. It's not public. Nobody even knows it. There's a need that has to be taken care of. How much more so you should go ahead and be discreet about something which nobody even knows there is such a situation. So the idea of modesty is important, not only in areas that nobody knows about, even in areas that people know there's a need to be discreet about you're doing it. So too, it shows you that modesty is something that's across the board. So therefore, the Gemara says when it comes to Torah teachings and so on and so forth, you also should do it. The idea of being modest in that fashion. Don't go ahead and open up a class in the street. Bring it into the building. Bring it into a more modest location. So, see, like he says, he says, so Rashi says, the tzedakah that's given to a poor person, b'seiteh, nobody needs to know about it. No one needs to know the person even has that. But a person who passed away, Rashi says, or a kala, people, and people even know who's getting involved, but try to, as much as you can, to be as discreet as possible. Okay, I want to wish everyone a beautiful day and see everyone back tomorrow.